What's going on, guys? This is Fletch here from Ultimate Halo. Thank you for tuning into the channel. Now, in the last video I did breaking down the trailer of Halo 5 Infinite, I discussed an idea that this game could potentially, never said it was solid fact, but that it could potentially be a story mode only game. Now, that doesn't also mean that it's single player only, far from it, and in fact you look at the team behind it, there are multiplayer developers in that group. You look at Tom French, he was promoted to a multiplayer lead design developer position. But this is, of course, speculation. I'm not stating any facts, but there are a few signs that are leading to it. Now, Hidden Xperia did make a video about two supposed leaks that have happened that kind of support this information. However, my speculation was before these leaks came out, and I still believe I've got a good grounding as to why that's the case. So, let's break it down.
Ultimate Halo.
So I'm going to somewhat split this off into three kinds of categories. I'm going to do points about the style of game based upon the trailer we saw, points about the franchise, and also development timescales. Okay, so first and foremost, points about the game. We're going to discuss scope. Now, this game looks very big. Now, a lot of people are debating, is it a tech demo? Yes, it probably is more along that side of things, but to be quite honest, I believe it's going to have some sort of grounding in what the final game is going to be like. I think this will be the scope that they are looking for, and it's also a brand new engine. Now, a brand new engine is a lot of work, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of development cycles, and it's no small investment by any stretch of the imagination. And like I said, I do believe this game is going to have co-op, but when you look at it, things like this are best experienced not as a competitive thing, and it requires a lot of resources to develop. You look at games like Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, Just Cause, and other open world games, and this doesn't have to be open world. I'm not saying that either. It could be open-ended level design, much like the original Halo. Some of the missions on that were, but just a larger emphasis on that. And as well as that, they have said there'll be a lot of environmental and exploratory elements to this game. That's pretty much official. They've said that. So that's just at face value. That bit is purely speculation. There are some signs there to back up that point. However, I do want to go over parts of the franchise now, because this is the main thing, along with development cycles, that are really going to give this theory grounding. So Halo's competitive scene has seen a drastic increase since Halo 4. Halo 4 did not do very well in the competitive scene. People did not like the mechanics, and also it was a change from the previous games, but you notice that happened with Halo Reach as well. Even though Halo Reach's competitive scene was arguably stronger, it still was never the same. Halo 5's competitive scene really picked up. Then once MLG picked it up, then of course Halo fans are going to get excited, because MLG is just arguably better than a lot of the esports companies out there. So in Halo 5, throughout the whole development, it was clear that there was big investment and time spent on gameplay systems. To be able to implement some of the features that they did in the final game is no small task, especially when you look at the previous games. Feel how fluid and tight this game feels. No matter what your opinions are on advanced movement, I'm not the biggest fan, but we're not going to discuss that in this video. That's a completely different topic in itself. These gameplay systems do feel amazing. Halo 5 as a shooter, independently from Halo's core graphics, is a fantastically well-made shooter. So if Halo 5's engine was heavily produced with this in mind, and it was quite clear that this engine was supposed to try set up the rest of the franchise, one main priority was to keep that going forward. They're not just going to scrap all of these mechanics, these systems that they've put in place in favour of a new engine. No, and I think far from it. And I think this is why this game is going to be focused on story mode only with a co-op aspect. So then that leads nicely into development timescales. Now, obviously things like Forge have drastically increased in the community. Some of the creations in Halo 5 were brilliant, but we need to top that now. That needs to be increased in the next game, whether that's going to be Halo Infinite, whether that's going to be a different release, because fans want more features. You look at the Far Cry map editor, yes, arguably there are some features that go along with that that don't quite fit too well, but a lot of fans would like terrain editing, which, you know, there's a lot of things to figure out in terms of the engine there. How far can we push it? Of course, we've got a next gen release coming up soon. obviously Microsoft did announce that in their E3 press conference. And with the fragmented player base at the moment, does Halo need different types of releases? There's obviously a classic Halo fan base out there, and it's very, very dormant, and now they've been waiting to come back, and you can see that reaction as soon as Master Chief's classic designed helmet was shown in that trailer. The internet, and myself included, I remember I went absolutely nuts. Everybody went nuts. And there's also people who really do like advanced movement. I think they're a little bit more silent than some people would like to admit. However, some people genuinely love Halo's new mechanics, and actually they don't like going back to the old games. So this could be sort of a reason why there could be two separate releases. Let's say Halo Infinite does have a multiplayer, but maybe it's a classic gameplay, and maybe the new systems in the new game offer a more advanced gameplay. I don't think that's going to be the case, to be quite honest with you, and I don't think Halo Infinite is going to be purely a clean, classic Halo experience. I think that would absolutely just regress the community a lot more, and there'd still be arguments, and there'd be still some people who would want advanced movement. And also, Halo needs more staggered releases. I do not think we are going to see a mainline Halo game in 2018. I'm more than willing to be wrong on that, and I would love it if 343 gave us a game that we never expected. And potentially there might be some spin-off games, and I would encourage that, because I think Halo needs a bit more diversity in terms of its stories and its gameplay at the minute. I think people are very bored of the same thing day in, day out. And also, the longevity of games needs to last a lot more. Main games shouldn't be annualized. I think we've seen that from other franchises. You look at franchises like Assassin's Creed, where the quality took a massive dip. It was hurting the review scores, it was hurting the sales, and now look, a lot of their games are doing a lot better. The game based in Egypt, whatever it was called, I can't quite remember, seems to have got a really, really good reception, and the next one that's coming out seems to be doing, getting a really good reception as well. So I think quality goes a long way these days. I think there was a time where you could have a big title and release it every single year, and people were happy with that. But these days, no, people want quality, and you notice those games with quality sell. I mean, look at The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, for example. Of course it was going to sell, it's a Zelda game, we haven't had one in a long time, but looking at that, the quality was superb, and I think that carried a lot of the game sales, and also Nintendo Switch sales. Halo 5, for the very sort of casual to core audience, I think a lot of people died off it very quickly, and I think there are still core community members who do still play it to this day and genuinely enjoy it and try to grind out as much as they can. But I think everyone can admit that Halo 5 is pretty stale right now, and they just want to move on to something new. I'm certainly the same, and I think going forward, more staggered releases would sort of help remedy that, give it a bit of a new flavour as much as you can. Oh yes, and I would like just to go over why it would be beneficial to have this as a story mode only game. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest fan of the idea, but I think that having a multiplayer separate game would mean that we can have all of our classic game modes back from games such as Halo Reach, things like Headhunter, Invasion, that game mode in Halo 4, Extraction, something like that, those things where you pick up those blocks and then they fade away and you shoot them. You know what I'm talking about. And then on top of that, it just means that we can have a variety of things, and they concentrate having the best multiplayer and then also having the best single player. Now obviously there are downsides. I'm not really going to go over them because I think we all pretty much know what they are, but still, it's just food for thought. So like I did say, there have been some leaks. I'm actually going to link Hidden Xperia's video in the description if you want to discuss the leaks. Now there are two credible sources, just to quickly go over it, that indicate, who have good track records, that there are going to be two separate releases. And I actually theorised, me and Hidden Xperia were talking about this before we noticed these leaks, that this could come out potentially fall 2019, and the multiplayer game, whether it's standalone as a multiplayer or not, could come out in spring 2020. And potentially the multiplayer game could be a service-based game, and I mean, almost similar to Halo Online, could be free. I doubt it would be free, but maybe it could be a discounted price and be a massive package and have amazing features and community features that you kind of expect from a Halo game that all of the Halo games up until now should have had under 343's reign. I really do want to know what you think. And this is my point of this video. I don't want you to think this is a groundless theory and I'm pulling things out of my backside like I've been accused of. I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm more than happy to be wrong. I think there are pros and cons of having it either way. But let me know. My name's Jack Fletcher. You can tweet me your thoughts at FletchUH. That'll be in the description as well. And make sure you let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for all our latest videos. And I will see you next time on Ultimate Halo.
Subscribe now to Ultimate Halo for more unfriggin' believable Halo content.